In this video, we are going to cover a detailed summary of Aeschylus's powerful tragedy, Agamemnon, exploring fate, revenge, and justice through its dramatic narrative. So let's start. Agamemnon is the first play in Aeschylus's famous trilogy, the Oresteia. It tells a dark and tragic story of war, betrayal, and revenge, set in the aftermath of the Trojan War. The play takes place in Argos, where the long-absent King Agamemnon is about to return home after 10 years of fighting at Troy. Although the war has ended in victory, the atmosphere in Argos is tense and uneasy, filled with memories of past crimes and unresolved curses. The opening of the story shows a watchman on the roof of the royal palace who has spent years waiting for a signal that Troy has fallen. When he finally sees the beacon fire announcing victory, he rejoices, but also hints at the deep corruption and suffering within the palace. This uneasy opening sets the tone for the tragedy that is about to unfold. Queen Clytemnestra, Agamemnon's wife, receives the news of Troy's defeat with apparent joy. She announces the victory to the people of Argos and prepares a grand welcome for her husband. However, beneath her composed exterior lies deep resentment and a carefully planned desire for revenge. Years earlier, Agamemnon had sacrificed their daughter Iphigenia to appease the gods and ensure favorable winds for the fleet sailing to Troy. This unforgivable act has poisoned their marriage and planted the seed of murder in Clytemnestra's heart. The chorus of Argive elders recounts the background of the Trojan War and the sacrifice of Iphigenia. They reflect on the destructive nature of war, the suffering it brings, and the dangerous cycle of bloodshed passed down through generations. Their words remind the audience that the House of Atreus is cursed, plagued by violence, betrayal, and revenge. Agamemnon finally arrives in Argos, accompanied by Cassandra, a Trojan princess and prophetess whom he has taken as a war captive. He is greeted with honor and praise by the people, yet there is a sense of foreboding in the air. Clytemnestra welcomes him warmly and persuades him to walk upon a path of rich purple tapestries as he enters the palace. Agamemnon hesitates, knowing that such luxury is usually reserved for gods, but his pride ultimately leads him to accept. This symbolic act foreshadows his downfall, suggesting arrogance and a challenge to divine order. Once inside the palace, Agamemnon is murdered by Clytemnestra. She traps him in a robe while he bathes and strikes him down with a weapon, killing him in an act of calculated vengeance. This murder is both personal and symbolic. Clytemnestra claims it as justice for the sacrifice of Iphigenia and as punishment for Agamemnon's arrogance and betrayal. Cassandra, gifted with prophecy but cursed never to be believed, foresees her own death and Agamemnon's murder. She delivers a haunting vision of past and future crimes committed by the House of Atreus. Though she fully understands what awaits her, Cassandra walks into the palace and meets her death with tragic acceptance, becoming another innocent victim of the family curse. After the murders, Clytemnestra emerges to face the chorus, openly admitting her actions. She shows no remorse, declaring that justice has been served. Her lover, Aeschylus, also appears, claiming credit for the revenge. Aeschylus is the son of Thyestes, Agamemnon's uncle, and his participation in the murder represents the continuation of the family cycle of vengeance. Together, Clytemnestra and Aeschylus seize control of Argos. The chorus condemns the murder but is powerless to act. They warn that bloodshed invites further bloodshed, and that Agamemnon's son, Orestes, will one day return to avenge his father. This prophecy hints at the continuation of the tragic cycle in the later plays of the Oresteia trilogy. Agamemnon explores powerful themes of justice, revenge, fate, and moral responsibility. Aeschylus examines the conflict between personal vengeance and divine justice, questioning whether violence can ever be truly justified. Clytemnestra sees herself as an agent of justice, yet her actions perpetuate the curse rather than end it. The play also reflects on the cost of war. Although Troy has fallen, the victory brings no peace. Instead, it leads to further destruction within Agamemnon's own household. The suffering of innocent victims, especially Iphigenia and Cassandra, highlight the tragic consequences of ambition and pride. By the end of the play, Argos is ruled by murderers, and the future is filled with uncertainty. The death of Agamemnon does not bring closure, but deepens the cycle of bloodshed that has haunted the House of Atreus for generations. Agamemnon ends not with resolution, but with the promise of further tragedy, preparing the ground for the events of the libation bearers and the Eumenides. Aeschylus presents a grim vision of justice in a world governed by fate and ancestral curses. Through its intense drama and moral complexity, Agamemnon stands as one of the greatest tragedies of ancient Greek literature, exploring how power, revenge, and moral blindness can destroy even the mightiest of heroes.